Healing past life issues. You know, when people think about karma, they usually think of it in terms of punishment and retribution. If I do this, then something like that is going to happen to me. They can also think of karma in a positive way, that if I do something good might happen. But think of it also as your own personal evolution. The way I look at it, we come into these lives, and, you know, I say all of this as somebody who's done past life regression for 11 years, 10 in New York, now 1 in Los Angeles, and around 2,000 clients that I've taken into past lives. So my background is not about believing something arbitrarily. It's based on my experience. And when you do past life regression hypnosis on a couple thousand people, you start to see some themes that emerge. And you realize these people didn't all have a meeting to come up with their story before they came to see you. And so when these themes emerge, it starts seeming true. And so the thing is, from what I've synthesized from my 11 years, 11 and a half now, is that we are highly evolved beings as the beings that we are, the souls that we are. We choose to come into these lives to test ourselves. I give the analogy, and maybe I've said it in other videos, it's like the analogy of the Kung Fu master, you know, Bruce Lee, whatever, that to demonstrate even a higher level of Kung Fu, you are blindfolded, and now you have to rely on other sights. Well, coming into a life on Earth, compared to being a soul in that realm, is a very limiting, constricting experience. And then not realizing where you're from, not realizing fully that you are a soul, and having your identity be in this lost, traumatized ego, rather than this, what would seem to us, if we would meet our true soul selves, it would be like meeting a divine being. It would be incredible. I know I get to talk to them in hypnosis sessions. They're a lot smarter than us. So, but when we go from life to life, we do create karma. We do have things that we're not that good at, and we have to come back. And we choose to come back. It's not like there's somebody wagging their finger forcing us to. But we choose to come back, and we set up tests, right? We set up, okay, I'll have these parents, and, you know, mom will be an alcoholic, and dad will be a wimp, and it'll be chaos in the house, and my big sister will intimidate me, and, you know, whatever it is, right? And the idea is that we kind of have that muscle memory, right? Like the Kung Fu master, that our soul is so developed that even when it forgets who it is, it still acts in alignment with its highest integrity. And the thing is, when you come into a physical life, number one, you forget you're a soul. That's part of the deal. And then whatever level of spiritual development your soul is at, because your soul is evolving the whole time too, just like you are, that will be reflected in your choices, your good choices or bad choices. So what happens is that we have these traumas from past lives, and oftentimes we have themes from many past lives where we either suffer trauma or we inflict trauma on others. And for most of us, it's both. And the trauma that we inflict is a reflection of the trauma that we've internalized and suffered. And in the end, it's all about getting to that state of oneness, understanding that you can't hurt anybody else without hurting yourself, because we're all part of the same thing. So when you do past life regression, what happens is your higher self, or soul you might want to call it, is the thing that chooses which life to see, which moments of that life to re-experience. And the way I look at it, there is no faster way that I've ever seen to connect with your higher self. Now, there's a lot of breakthrough that happens with ayahuasca, for example, but it's a lot more confusing because you're having a hallucinogenic experience. And so even though people doubt past lives, I mean, people that even have past life regression, afterwards the ego very often thinks, well, I just made that all up. Generally, when you review the recording of your session, you'll realize if I was going to make something up, it sure as hell wouldn't have been that. But that's an aside. So anyway, you have these themes throughout multiple lifetimes. And when you go into past life regression, what happens is your higher self takes you to certain key moments of certain key lives so that you can experience the essence of this theme. And usually what happens is there's an emotional release. It could be an emotional release in the form of laughter and kind of like, you know, that release of tension that comes from laughter and from realization and awakening. And then there's the release that comes through tears. And I have seen the most amazing personal transformation in clients that just quietly had one tear come out of the side of their eye while they were recounting a past event. And I've also seen people go into a past life and see a scene and actually explode in tears. And since you're aware during the hypnosis, you know, it's like you're walking through some medieval village and you look at a front door of a house and you explode in tears and you're like, what the hell is going on? You know. But the thing is, you deep down, your higher self, other levels of your consciousness, you know exactly what's going on. And the thing is, once you have that reaction, a really huge clearing takes place. It's amazing. And so, you know, you just allow it to happen. And it changes you. I mean, it's really very effortless. And I'm not saying you heal everything in your life if you do one past life regression session. Not at all. On the one hand, you know, you can have healings that are really profound and mind-blowing, And you think everything has changed, and everything has changed to a certain degree. But healing is infinite. Until you literally become your higher self in identity, inhabiting this body, which doesn't mean the ego totally has to go away. It'll always be your helper, but it'll be like a pinky. It won't be the star of the show. But until you get there, until you get to what Paul Selig would call the Christed self, well, until you get there, you're not there yet. And there's a lot of work to do to get there. But on the other hand, since it is who you really are, theoretically, you can just have a huge awakening and be there right away. There are different paths for different people. So, healing past life trauma is just, through past life regression, is just a matter of revisiting the origin of the trauma and having an emotional release. And think of it this way, like, you could do therapy and you could realize that, you know, mom never loved you or whatever, and burst into tears and end up healing your own trauma from childhood. But you can't go into therapy, most therapies, and do that about something that happened in a past life. If you want to access the past life trauma, you're gonna have to reconnect with the past life. And if you do that, it is really amazing how deeply you can be healed of core emotional issues that have plagued you your whole life. I've never seen anything like it, and I've been doing healing for 22, 23 years, and there's nothing like that instantaneous healing that happens in a past life regression session. When somebody gets to the root of the issue that we're going after, they have the emotional release, and they come out of the session a really changed person. It's incredible. And if it's something that you're looking to do, or something that's always intrigued you, realize that going and doing past life regression is way deeper than just fulfilling your curiosity to know who you were in a past life. You can heal traumas that you didn't even know had their origins in a past life, that maybe didn't make sense based on your personal biography, that you're like, I had a great family, my parents loved me, everything was fine. I don't remember anything that terrible, but yet I'm going around with all this fear and anxiety and insecurity, whatever it may be for you. Well, you can't access that trauma that comes from past lives if you don't go into the past life. And the funny thing is, when you do access that trauma through a past life and clear it, it doesn't even matter if you believe it afterwards. Because the ego's always going to resist giving up any of its control. And that's fine. We don't need to resist the ego's resistance. We just play with it. If you'd like to do a past life regression session, reach out to me at andysway@yahoo.com, or check out my website, andysway.com. And I'd love to take you through the next steps of it. And if you are in the Los Angeles area, I can definitely help you. I probably will be in New York in the fall to do sessions there also. But let me know if that's something you want to do. And otherwise, just Google it for your local area and find somebody with some experience that has been doing it for a little while. and that can take you through the process. If you want to ask a hypnotherapist a good question about that, to find out whether they can help you heal past life trauma, there's something that I've heard from a lot of clients where they had bad experiences with other hypnotherapists. Some people get freaked out when you go to a past life trauma. And I've heard of hypnotherapists actually stopping the session right in the middle of the trauma and pulling the person out. That is malpractice, in my view. That is horrible. That person should not be doing past life regression hypnotherapy, because the core of this work is being able to take people through this. I have taken people through past lives where they were killed in the Holocaust, burned as a witch, all kinds of horrible things. And you have to sit there and let them go through the experience. So that's something to test anybody that you're going to work with. Like, do you have the ability to take me through an experience, even if I'm screaming in pain, crying, whatever, and lead me through it with confidence, because you do not want somebody to take you there and then they freak out and end the session. I've heard many stories of that happening. I'm not calling out any certain colleague, I don't even know the names. But anybody that does that, and if you've had an experience where that happened, don't get discouraged. Just find somebody with a little bit more experience, tell them what happened, and make sure they would not do that. Okay? Because this is an amazing tool, past life regression hypnosis. It's really amazing. And the things that can be healed through this are endless. Physical issues, mental issues, emotional issues. And if it's something you've always wanted to do, I'd urge you to do it. Again, andysway.com. Love to hear from you. Have a great day. Bye.